Excuse me, get those Laker highlights out of here, if you can call them highlights. This is a football show, and I will not have the worst team in LA stinking it up. Well, I mean, I guess I do have a lot of Bruin footage, but I guess that's besides the point. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Los Angeles Spies. As usual, I'm your host, Russell, here at the University of Southern California, an especially rainy and cold University of Southern California. Growing up down here my entire life, frankly, I've never seen so much rain, like in California. Yeah, great, it's good for us, and, you know, like 50% of California is no longer in a drought, but I mean, this is a little intense. But yes, that's besides the point. Yeah. For some reason, LA turned into Seattle, whatever. But the topic of today's episode will be the 2017 schedules for the UCLA Bruins and your USC Trojans. But before I get to that, we must say goodbye to a very, very special player. That's right. The man, the myth, the legend, Adoree Jackson has declared for the 2016 NFL Draft, and he waited till the last second to do it too. He waited until the 16th to declare, which is the last day you can do so. But yes, he will be leaving USC after his junior year to go pro, and my oh my, he will be a pickup for whichever team drafts him. You know, he's arguably the most explosive player in college football this past year. I think he should have won the Ronnie Lott over the Jim Thorpe Award, but that's okay, that's whatever. But yes, you know, as an SC fan, as a, you know, kind of like an Adoree fan, you know, back from high school all the way till now, it's like, you know what, I wish he was going to play one more year because it would have been fantastic to see him, you know, along with Sam Darnold, make what could be a national championship run. But you know what, like I said for Juju, go get your money. Go get your money, boy. He's going to make millions and millions of dollars within the next couple of months. You know what? Congratulations to him. And frankly, this would not be a proper send-off to Mr. Adoree Jackson if I did not include one of his most amazing plays of the year, the punt return against Utah State. So let's put that right here. Okay, so there we go. Thank you very much, Adoree, for just always, you know, lighting up the crowd, putting everything you've got into it, just putting your whole heart, everything you had into the game. So thank you very much. You know, fight on forever, always part of the Trojan family. But yes, so the 2017 schedules for the USC Trojans and the UCLA Bruins were released a couple days ago. Obviously, Sasha will be talking about the UCLA Bruins schedule. I will be talking about the USC schedule. And, you know, right off the bat, it's these first three games that I think are really going to set the tone for the schedule. Actually, as opposed to this past year where the first three games really, I mean, they meant a lot, but in the end, they really did not show what USC was really going to be. But I think these first three games are very important for USC. So the first game will be an out-of-conference game against Western Michigan in the Coliseum, followed by Stanford in the Coliseum, and then Texas also in the Coliseum. So starting off with three, you know, kind of really cool home games. I'm very excited for these three games. Now, Western Michigan, this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Obviously, I believe they went 13-1 this year under the rather sporadic leadership of a Mr. PJ Fleck. But now I don't see Western Michigan having nearly the same amount of success this upcoming year as they did this past year. I mean, first of all, no more PJ Fleck. He's now the head coach of Michigan. Their amazing wide receiver, Corey Davis, something like that, who's like number one, number two wide receiver in the nation. He's gone. And after all, they are still an FCS team. They are not part of the Power Five. So I think how well they played this past year, that will not translate into 2017, which I think is going to be fantastic for the Trojans, because I do think we win this game. I don't know by how much or whatever, but I think we win this game and it says, boom, we just beat this team who went 13-1 this past year. Great start for the Trojans. Starts it off the Coliseum. Fantastic. Game number 2 against Stanford. We have not beat Stanford since 2013. You know, they handled us quite well this past year. We did not score a touchdown against them, but boom, they do not have Christian McCaffrey And I mean, they do not have an offense without Christian McCaffrey. Ryan Burns and Keller Christ. I mean, neither of them are good quarterbacks. I'm sorry. They were supposed to be some amazing quarterbacks, especially Keller Crest, coming, or Christ, whatever, however you say it, coming out of Pali High School. He walks across the street straight to Stanford, and he has not been as good as they thought he would be. Yes, he won a lot of games, but I think that was against not as good talent. And plus, I believe he tore his ACL in his bowl game. So I do think we get that win. I think USC will be able to handle Stanford for the first time in a while. And then Texas. I mean, I believe this is the first time we've played Texas since that 2006 Rose Bowl, what people call the best college football game in history, where Vince Young, walk-off touchdown for the championship. And I believe, Texas walking into the Coliseum, they have an amazingly talented team. But I do think the X factor is Mr. Tom Herman, who is the coaching hire of the year in many people's opinion. Him coming to Texas, he's obviously a great coach. Like I said, Texas has a lot of talent, but I don't know if this offseason is going to be enough time for him to really go in there, uproot the entire system, uproot the team, and just be able to get them on the winning track. So I think USC not only wins these first 3 games, I'm looking at the schedule right here. I mean, then it's Cal, Washington State, Oregon State, but then it's Utah. And we all know we've had some problems with Utah in the past, but they will not have Joe Williams, who was their amazing running back. It's at the Coliseum, which I think if they would have played in the Coliseum this past year, I think we win that game. So I'm hoping that's another win. Obviously, I'm hoping that's another win. But then after that, we have Notre Dame in Notre Dame, which is going to be an interesting game because I think Ryan Kelly will be fighting for his job. Plus, playing out there is always going to be difficult. Then Arizona State. Then Arizona, and then Colorado in Colorado. Colorado was pretty much the win that really helped USC get to the Rose Bowl this past year. I do think it will be another challenge, and if there is a trap game on this schedule, a trap game meaning a game I think USC will win but has the highest chance of losing, it would be Colorado. I think this is the game to keep your eyes on. However, this is week 11, so, I mean, at this point, who knows? If we, run the tables up until week 11 and we're blowing people out, heck, we may be in the top 4 at that point. And TC is, it's so hard to stay impartial to this because obviously my mind is still on that past Rose Bowl, which, I will include footage of that Rose Bowl in this video. But, we're coming off such a high. I just don't see us losing any of these games. Then after Colorado will be the rivalry, that's just a very difficult word to say, game against UCLA, this time at home, so I cannot wait to get you guys footage on that game. I'm just stoked for that game. But then, honestly, I hope Josh Rosen plays in that game, because if he doesn't, then we never get to see the game of Sam Darnold versus Josh Rosen, and I think that would just be a travesty for football fans. So, I mean, I'm looking at this schedule, and I honestly think USC has an opportunity to run the table. I mean, it's a very favorable schedule, I think. The biggest complaint out there by most people is that we do not have a bye week. The argument to that would be if we get into the Pac-12 championship game, we would have the bye week right before the championship game, which I think in that case, we win the championship game going undefeated, of course, we get into the playoff. So, I mean, all of this is speculation at the point. It's just what I think. But yes, that is your 2017 USC football schedule. I do have Sasha here to explain some of UCLA's schedule. So go ahead, Sasha. Take it away.
All right. How's it going, you guys? Schedules came out last week. It's looking pretty good for UCLA. It could be better, but considering we're getting Oregon and UW back this year in the rotation, it's pretty decent schedule. Starting off the year with Texas A&M. I think if we can pull out the revenge game, kind of, because A&M is losing some key pieces. Myles Garrett, namely the centerpiece of that defense, is going to the NFL, probably to be the number 1 overall pick. If we can start off strong against A&M at the Rose Bowl with Rosen and get the win there, I think that'd be huge for the morale of the team. And I think we can do that. So penciling in that as a W. Of course, that's subject to change with spring practices and graduate transfers and things like that. Things always change, but for right now, I'm assuming we're going to beat Texas A&M at home. And then next week, the week after that, we're going back to the Rose Bowl, play Hawaii. Not much to say about that game. It's the easiest game on our schedule. It's it's a cupcake, but at least they're an FBS team. At least it's not an FCS scheduled team. So at that point, we're 2-0 heading out to our first road game of the year, and I don't want to say our first test, but our first road test of the year. Memphis is a good team. They have the former, I think they have the former OC from ASU, Norvell, and he was really good for the Sun Devils. So I'm assuming he's continuing that over there for the Tigers, and it's not going to be easy playing against them in Memphis, but I think the talent discrepancy is going to be too much for them to overcome. And I think we go undefeated in non-conference this year. Start the season 3-0 before we head off to Stanford, where I will never pencil in a win against Stanford until we actually beat them. So, not even going to go any further on that. I'm assuming if you guys know about UCLA, you know why I'm not going to pencil that in until they win. That point, we're 3-1 going to September 30th against Colorado at home in the Rose Bowl with Josh Rosen. I think that's going to be a W because this season we lost by 10 points, and it was even closer than that. With Josh Rosen, I think we easily, I don't want to say easily, but Colorado is still an unknown. I don't know if they can continue their success from last season into next year. We'll see. They might, but even if they do, I think Rosen pulls it out against them. It's going to be tough. Obviously, Colorado's a pretty good team now if they continue their success, but I think Rosen pulls it out for us. And we're heading 4-1 into our first trap game of the year against Arizona, in Tempe? Tucson. That is not an easy place to play in. That is a very loud stadium with some very loud fans. It is never easy to play in Arizona. I don't care if they're 1-9. It's never easy to play against them. But the discrepancy in talent again is going to be way too much for them to overcome. It is a trap game because after that W, we're heading into the Oregon game at the Rose Bowl. We're kind of getting an unlucky break. We didn't play Oregon these last 2 or 3 years, and that was when they didn't have Mariota, when they were coming off that Mariota high after the national championship. And unfortunately for us, we're getting them back now when they're kind of getting back on track with Willie Taggart and that coaching staff. That's putting them to good use. Working them a little too hard sometimes, but they're getting those kids into good shape, and they're getting that team into good shape. And I think they're going to be another wrecking force in the Pac-12, along with Washington and Stanford. So I'm going to call that a loss at the Rose Bowl. Jim Moore has yet to beat Oregon and Stanford during his tenure at UCLA, and I think that continues next year as well with losses to Oregon and Stanford. So it is what it is, but an even scarier opponent comes the week after that in Seattle against UW. That is about as 100% locked as a loss as I'm going to put on this list, because there is no way our offensive line gets any push on their defensive line, and there's no way they protect against their linebackers and defensive lines. So our offense isn't going to do anything against them. There's no way. It's pencil in L at this point. So it is what it is. Going to the Utah game next week, or the week after that, in Salt Lake, we would be 4-5-3. So this is pretty much the make or break point of the season after the Washington game. You either come out demoralized after a tough loss or rejuvenated. You want to prove yourself. You want to come out. You want to get a big W in Salt Lake against another team that is pretty good, especially if they have Troy Williams next year again. Salt Lake also is never an easy place to play, especially at night. But I think they can do it. I think they're the team that can. They're high character, and they can come into that game and steal one right from under Utah's nose. And after that, they are going to be 5-6-3 at facing another trap team, pretty much the other Arizona school, Arizona State, in the Rose Bowl November 11th before USC. This is also going to be a trap game just because we're looking forward to playing USC so much every year. I still think we pull it off against Todd Graham. I think Jim Moore is yet to beat the Sun Devils at the Rose Bowl. We've only beaten them in ASU. But I think we pull it off this year. Arizona State just is not as talented as they should be. And I think we pull it off. And we head into the USC game 7-3. I'm just going to pencil that in as a loss. They outmatch us in talent, and the Coliseum is going to be loud for what I'm assuming is going to be a pretty hyped up USC season. And they're going to do pretty well, I'm assuming, just because schedule's favorable. It's a good team. They still have Darnold, and it's a home game for them, and they'll pull out the W. That's fine. At that point, we're 7-5 heading into the last game against Cal at home, which is the most worthless. Or no, 7-4. Sorry. Against Cal at the Rose Bowl, it's going to be the most pointless game of the season for us, especially if it goes the way I'm saying it's going to go. We're not going to be contending for a Pac-12 title. And the only way Cal is an important game at that point is if we're contending for the South or the title game. I think we win just because Cal isn't very good. Cal loses Davis Webb. I don't know if they have any quarterbacks in the waiting to take over the reins and kind of light it up, but I don't think they're going to be very good next year. We're not going to be very good next year, but I think we'll be better, and we have home field advantage. So say we win that game, we go 8-4 in the season, go to some bowl, maybe the Holiday Bowl, something like that. But there are ways this season could turn out much worse. I can definitely see another 4, 5, or 6 win season, but I can also see ways that it can turn into a really good year, maybe 9 or 10 wins even, compared to 8 that I'm calling right now. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, as I like to stay cautiously optimistic, but we'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful Rosen comes back and he wins a couple games just on his merit alone, and hope we can push for a Pac-12 title. But if not, 8-4 is respectable considering our offensive line and offensive talent, barring Rosen. So we'll see. Hopefully it turns out better than last year. And thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll send you back to Russell.
All right, Sasha, thank you very much for that. Okay, so for the upcoming videos, obviously this was a scheduling video. Maybe we will have a recruitment video coming out soon. Recruiting really is not the most entertaining thing in the world. And I mean, that's when, like, I never found it that interesting, even when I was in high school, like, and I knew the recruits. So it's like, you know, and it's a bunch of no-name people that obviously most of you don't know, and you know, it's people that may end up being nothing. So maybe have a video on that, but I'm gonna try and get you guys different footage of just new stuff, maybe some USC specific stuff. You know, I'm thinking about doing a food video, so look out for that. I don't know. If you guys are willing to like and comment on this video, why don't you guys tell me what you guys want to see? Maybe I'll have, like, I don't know, maybe I'll show off some of the party atmosphere here. Maybe I'll show off some of the stuff around, you know, downtown LA. Just anything USC specific, and maybe we'll go visit UCLA one day. But yes, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. As usual, I'm Russell, and I will see you guys next week. All right, thank you guys. Bye-bye.